Hi guys, and welcome in the next video. Today we're going to continue the topic from the previous video, which is the branching. Today, however, we're going to take care of conditional statements, whereas last time we spoke a little bit about non-conditional. Ready? Let's get started.
5, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0.
Alright, so conditional statements. What are those? So I kind of jumped into it on my latest video where we spoke a little bit about weight. But basically, conditional statements are going to be that if something happens, then do this and that. So basically, there has to be a condition for the statement to occur. I don't know if you recall, but some time ago we did a little bit of mathematical operations on registers, and that's already a conditional statement because we did that register, for example, 100 is equal to register 101 plus 3. That's already branching, that's already a statement, correct? Today we're going to continue that, and there are two things left. One is going to be if statements, and the second thing is going to be a select. So what are those? What's the differences? The if statements, I already spoke about it a little bit in the mixed logic. So basically it's saying if something happens, do this and that. So let's say, for example, if you see a red light on a traffic light, you need to stop. And that's how you're going to make conditions for the robot. For example, hey, if that input is not on, you cannot enter a fixture. Or if that input is not on, you cannot enter that zone because it's a collision zone with another robot. What is a select? Select, on the other hand, is a statement where you're going to define a condition, for example, a register, and based on the number, for example, you're going to decide what to do. So you're going to make a select line, and you're going to do, for example, registers equal to 1, do this. If it's equal to 2, do this. Equal to 3, do that, and so on and so on. We're going to do all of that on the exercises. What is important about the if statement, though? So in the if statements, if we're going to use the classical logic, we can only use and, or. So we cannot mix and or. If we're going to go for a mixed logic, so the one in the brackets, over there we can mix and or statement. So we can do if di1 and di2 or di3. But then, okay, how does it work? How does and work and or in this statement? That's an important question. So you need to remember that and works like a bracket. So whatever is in between and, that's going to be considered a bracket. So if there is a statement saying if i.e. digital input 1 and digital input 2 or digital input 3, that statements mean that either the first part of the statement has to be true or the second one that's behind the or. So you either need to have di1 and di2 on, or you can have just di3 on, or of course all of them. Only then the statement is going to be true. That's why there is a difference between the regular logic where you can use only and or. We don't have that issue, but when we use the mixed logic, then we can mix those, and then you gotta remember how the and works, that it like joins two parts together. Important thing to remember, so keep that in mind. Okay, what are we going to do on the exercises? So on the exercises, I'm going to show you the difference, how can we make a program using an if statement, using a select statement, how and what are the differences, a little bit of pros and cons. Also, with the newer FANUC versions, you can do if then. That was not possible in the older FANUCs, so be aware that your robot might not have that option. So what's the difference? Because the regular if statement is going to be only a if, then the pattern is if we use a mixed logic or just and, if we use classic logic, and an output. With the newer versions, we can do if statement and then use a then and else. So you can make various options for the if logic that's going to work somehow like a select. That's for new. We're going to do it on exercises, so don't worry about it. That will be all from the introduction, guys. Let's do some exercises and see how that goes. Also, I wanted to tell you that right now we get all of the basic knowledge for making the programs. So now going further with the videos, we're going to make more and more programming stuff. So it's going to get even more fun. Ready? Let's get started. Alright guys, welcome to the exercises. So let's start with the select statement. First of all, let's get to a program. We already know how to do it. We're going to hit select. I already created a program called logic operators. Let's use it. Let's hit enter. First of all, I'm going to add a few lines to the program because we're going to make a little bit of logic in here. So the program is going to be a little bit longer. So let's do edit command. Let's do insert, hit enter. Let's insert 10 extra lines. And now we know that it's all going to be good. Okay, so how do we add a select statement to our program? So simply hit instruction and you're going to go to the if select option here. So let's use the arrows, let's hit enter. And now we have all of those if statements that we're going to talk about. And when you go to the next page, you can see that we have our select portion in here. So as you can see, there is a lot of statements for if and just a little bit for the select option. So that's why we start with this first. Okay, so let's choose this option. Let's hit enter. And how does it work, guys? Very simple. So the option select work as follows. We're going to choose a register. We can choose a direct or indirect. I think you remember what indirect means. That means it's going to refer to a register number and the number taken from the register. I'm going to use a direct option here. So basically, based on the number in a register, we're going to select a task to do. So let's choose register. Let's see what's free. 45. So let's choose register number 45. Let's hit enter. And now you're going to choose your statement. So as you can see in here, you have a small pop-up. So you can see how the logic is going to look like. So in our case, I want to use a constant. So let's hit enter. And now we're going to declare. So let's say if we're going to have register 45 of value 1, then you can do a few things. We can do jump label, we can call a program or call a program with arguments. So we're going to simply call a program. I hope that you guys recall we did some programs in here where one of them is going to be the program that moves the robot around this table. Second one moves the robot around this table, and the third program moves around this table. And we did the program also for palletizing the pick and place. So what I'm going to do with our select task, I'm going to choose for the robot to do one of these tasks. Whereas one is going to be moving around that table, the second one is going to be moving around that table, the third option is going to just move the robot to the pounds position, so the position that he is right now. And we're going to do that based on the register that we chose. Okay, so the first task I want to do, it's going to be to move around that table. So let's select this option. We're going to go all the way down to register table. We're going to hit enter. So right now the logic works as follows. So if we're going to have number 1 on register 45, we're going to execute this program. Now let's add another statement. So we're going to go to instruction once more, if select, next page, and in here, remember those are the options that we have. So we're going to choose this one. As you can see, the selecting here is with a small letters, the one is with capital. That means in here you're going to add a next condition for your select statement. So let's hit enter, and the same. Let's choose constant. You can see the logic is going to look like this. So if we're going to have number 2 in that register, I want to call another program, and I want to call program that will move me around the round table. So let's choose this one. We have our round table in here. Okay, Let's add one more statement. Like I said, I want to move to the pounds position. So we're going to do again instruction, if select, and let's select again a constant. And if we're going to get a 0, I want to call a program called pounds. So let's go all the way down to pounds. There you go. Let's hit enter. And now our statement is almost complete. Why almost? Because it's good to add one more condition. So we're going to do insert, if select, you're going to choose this one, else. You're going to hit enter. And usually what I would do is I would do jump label, and I'm going to put label 999 in here. And I'm going to continue on that soon. So how does our logic work in here? So whenever we're going to start the program, we're going to get to this line. And now the logic is going to select based on the number we're going to have in register number 45. We're going to execute either this, that, or if none of this is true, we're going to execute the else logic. And this is our select statement. Just to make it complete, I'm going to add our labeling here. So I'm going to add the label number 999 so the robot can execute the logic. Okay, so how does it going to work, guys? Let's step it through first so you will see it slowly, then we're going to run it in a continuous. First of all, abort whatever we had selected, and let's run our program in here. So as we run it, we're going to get to the select line. Now the robot is going to look at the value on the register 45, in our case it's 0, and it's going to do as follow. So when we go forward right now, we didn't have 1, we didn't have 2, but we do have a 0 in here. That means we're going to execute that line. When we're going to hit forward, the robot is going to automatically to go inside the pounds position. We're going to go through all of the logic, as you can see, because we have the add symbol. That means we're already at the pounds, so the robot will not move. We go forward, and we're ending our select statement and continuing the program until the end. So as you can see, if we're going to change the value to 1, hit enter, and we're going to execute our program. Right now, the robot is going to execute the first line because register number 45 is equal to 1. As we go forward, we're going to get to our first program, and the robot is going to simply execute our first program. So as you can see, robot is going to move around the table. He's going to finish. And because we've ended the task, everything is done and we run to the end of the program. And of course the same is going to happen with number 2. Now what's going to happen when we're going to have a number different than 1, 2 or 0? So let's put number 5 to our register. Let's hit enter and let's try to run it. So when we try to run it now, we're not going to have 1, not 2, not 0. We're going to end up on our else statement in here. And we're going to execute whatever is going to be written in here. In my case, I just want the program to jump to label 999 and go to the end of the program. Of course, you can make different conditions. That's going to do something else to the robot. You can call another program. You can call an error, jump to an error, whatever you wish. So as we go forward, as you can see, I executed the jump label, I jump to label 999, and I'm going to finish my program. So guys, that's how this select statement works. Now let me add a few lines so you can see if statement right next to the select, and we're going to do exactly the same with the if statement. So you can see the differences, you can choose whichever you like. So let's going to go instruction, let's do if select. We can use either our classic logic. Let's do that first. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to do the same. If register number 45 is going to be equal to 1, I'm going to call a program called a regular table. So let's go down, let's select our program, and as you can see, the logic in this line and this line is exactly the same. The difference is that if statement does the select. Let's copy this logic. Okay, and now if we're going to have number 2 in here, and we're going to select our round table. And one more. This is our 0, and we're going to use the pounds position as before. And one more instruction. Oh, I didn't paste it, I'm going to type it. That's because we gotta change it. There you go. Okay, so in our case that has to be greater than, for example, 2 or okay. So as you can see, this logic is going to execute exactly the same, it's going to act exactly the same as this one, but that one is written on the if statement. That one is written on a select statement. Let me just change something in here because I see an error. If it's smaller than 0 or if register number 44 is greater than 2. Okay, so what's the difference, guys? Actually, there's no difference, because when we get to this line, it's going to be if we get this value equal to 1, we're going to do this one. If 2, then this one. If 0, then this one. The problem that we're having is we're going to have, we need to write a little bit more logic in here to execute the else statement, right? Because there is no else statement in the classic if logic. So basically we needed to write it down, because we have values from 0 to 2. If the value is going to be greater than 0, or the value is going to be, smaller than 0, or it's going to be greater than 2, then we want to jump to label 999. So let's execute. As we run it, we jump to the latest point. Of course, we have 5, which is greater than 2. We're going to execute the jump label 999. If we're going to have a value of 1 in here, we're simply going to run the table. Let's run number 2, so it's going to be a little bit faster. So as we run through the logic, it's not 1, it is 2. So run it. We're going to run the round table. And of course that's not true, and we continue with our program until the end. Now, like I told you, I use the classic logic. You can use the mixed logic. How would the mixed logic look like? Let's take a look. Let's do again instruction and use mixed logic for this. So we use this one. We're going to select register number 45 is equal to 1 if that's true. You wanna call program, and you wanna call program a regular table, of course, because we're making exactly the same logic. So as I said in the mixed logic video, that statement and that statement are exactly the same. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the classic logic though and the mixed logic. So the thing I wanted to tell you is why I do prefer mixed logic over the classic one. So as I told you, in the classic logic, there is only one statement that you can use. It's going to be either and or. You cannot do two. So as a reminder, let's do if we have the digital input number 1 on and digital input number 2 on and we have digital input number 3 equals to off, then call program pounce, let's say. Okay, so this statement is written in the classic logic. The statement that's going to be written in the mixed logic, it's going to look like this. We do if select, we're going to use the pattern this, we're going to do IO, and the same, number 1, and DI number 2, and not in here, DI number 3. If all of that is true, we're going to call program in the name of pounce. So let me make a space here so you can see this logic and this logic is exactly the same. Why I prefer this one? For a very simple reason. If you want to change this to an OR statement, you will automatically get an error that you cannot mix AND and OR, and it will automatically change both of your operators to the OR. However, in the mixed logic, if we're going to do exactly the same thing, we're going to change it to OR, nothing is going to happen. You're just going to have the statement OR and AND inside your logic. That's why, guys, even though you do simple logic, I highly recommend you use the if statement using the mixed logic. All right, let me show you the last thing I wanted to talk about, and that's what's going to execute. So it's like in mathematical operations, right? So whatever is in the end, you can imagine that the statement is actually looking like there would be a bracket in here. So we can add a bracket. A little bit too early. Hold on. Okay, so that's how that statement looks for real. So you're going to execute the pounce program if you're going to have DI1 on or this statement. So I'm going to take out the parentheses. I just wanted to show you how the AND operator works in a mixed logic. So the AND operator basically joins two things together. If there is an OR and the AND next to it, that means the AND is going to join whatever he has, and the logic is going to be this one or whatever is in here. Okay, let me take out the parentheses. Okay, and let me show you what I meant. I'm going to open the DIs in here. All right, and let me use a higher number. So actually, I don't need to. So as you can see right now, let me simulate all of those. Okay, now that program will execute when either DI1 is on or DI2 and not DI3 are there. So if that is going to be on and we're going to execute that program starting in this line, because we have the DI1 on, one of the two conditions is met, we're going to execute that program. Okay? Now, if the first condition is not met, that means that signal is off, and the second condition is not met either because DI2 is not on, but DI3 is off like it should be. We are not going to execute that program because none of the two conditions are met. However, as soon as I turn on output number 2, we are going to meet the second condition. So the first one is not met, but the OR operator, the second one is met. That means we can execute that logic. Let's run it. And as you can see, we're going to run through that program and continue our program. So let me turn it back off. As you can see, that's a very important thing about the mixed logic or an AND statements, that the AND works like a bracket. So whenever you add an AND, you need to add those brackets that I show you. Just as a reminder, guys, one more time, it's going to look exactly like this with an AND statement. You can add those brackets if you want. I do like to add them because the program looks more clear to me, and whoever is going to take the teach pendant, he doesn't need to think, is it going to be this one or this one and this one, or this or this, okay? Alright, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Like always, don't forget to leave your comments down below, give it a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye bye!